happened? What's going on? What's going on?
We heard a bang. We heard a bang. And she told me to get out. And then I heard screaming. So I came back and she was on the ground.
Okay, you heard a
bang.
bang.
Back. There was a bang. Someone broken.
Are you cut?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you're cut somewhere.
I don't think so.
Yeah, your hand.
No, I was helping her. I grabbed her.
All right, stop.
I grabbed the knife.
Yeah.
Imagine this. You're a father rushing home after a frantic call, your heart pounding like a drum in your chest. You pull up to your quiet suburban house, the one filled with laughter and family dinners just yesterday. But today, sirens wail, police tape flutters in the breeze, and inside, chaos. Blood on the floor, your wife lifeless, your daughter hysterical. And the worst part? The truth lurking in the shadows, one that will shatter your world forever. This isn't just a story. It's the nightmare that unfolded for Steve Powell on March 3rd, 2020, in Akron, Ohio. A tale of lies, desperation, and a bond broken by betrayal. Hold on tight. What you're about to read will grip you until the very end. It started innocently enough, or so it seemed. Sydney Powell was 19, a bright-eyed college freshman at the University of Mount Union, navigating the choppy waters of young adulthood. She switched majors like outfits, exercise science one semester, psychology the next, then education. Nothing stuck. Her grades slipped, anxiety gnawed at her edges, but she kept it all bottled up, a pressure cooker waiting to explode. To her friends, like her roommate Lauren, Sydney was the fun one, always up for a laugh or a weekend hangout. She seemed happy, Lauren would later recall, her voice tinged with regret, like she had it all figured out. But appearances deceive. Sydney had been kicked out of college weeks earlier, her academic dreams crumbling like dry leaves. Instead of confessing to her parents, she wove a web of lies. Mornings she'd pretend ahead of class, but really, she was hiding out, dodging the truth. Her mom, Brenda, was her rock, best friends, movie buddies, confidants. "I can't wait to see my mom," Sydney would text her friends before heading home. Yet, the fear of disappointing her loomed large. Steve, her dad, worked hard to provide, believing his daughter was thriving. Little did he know the storm brewing. On that fateful March morning, Brenda was on the phone with one of Sydney's professors. The call was routine at first, discussing Sydney's enrollment, her future. But then, screams pierced the line. "Help! No!" Brenda's voice, raw and terrified, before the phone went dead. The professor, sensing something horribly wrong, redialed. A voice answered, claiming to be Brenda. But it was off, strained, unnatural. Alarmed, he hung up and called 911. "There's a woman in distress," he reported, his gut twisting. Police arrived swiftly at the Powell home, a modest house in a peaceful Akron neighborhood. Probable cause from the screams allowed them to force entry. What they found chilled them to the bone. Brenda lay on the kitchen floor, a pool of blood spreading like spilled ink. 30 stab wounds marred her neck, brutal and relentless. An iron skillet, dented and bloody, sat nearby, evidence of a savage blow to her head. Glass shards from a broken back window glittered under the lights, but something felt staged. Blood dripped on the outside of the sill, suggesting the window was smashed after the attack, not before. Sydney was there, too, disheveled and bloodied, her hands cut. "There was a bang," she stammered to the officers, her eyes wide with feigned shock. "I heard screaming. Mom told me to get out." She claimed a home invader had burst in, attacking her mother in a frenzy. But inconsistencies piled up like storm clouds. Why was the blood on the wrong side of the window? Why no signs of forced entry elsewhere? And Sydney's injuries. They seemed superficial, self-inflicted perhaps. Officers secured the scene, taping off the area as paramedics rushed in. "She's been down for a while," one cop radioed, his voice steady but grim. Sydney wailed, collapsing into hysterics. "Is she going to be okay? Dad, I love my dad." Steve arrived moments later, his face ashen, piecing together fragments from frantic calls. He'd been at work when his phone rang. A distress alert from the university. He tried calling Brenda, then Sydney. No answer. Panic set in. Finally, Sydney picked up, sobbing about a break-in, blood everywhere. As detectives canvassed neighbors, Steve waited outside, his world tilting. "That's my wife in there," he told officers, his voice cracking. "My daughter, she's 19. Inside, the house whispered secrets. Photos on the walls showed a happy family: Steve, Brenda, Sydney, and her brother Andrew. A basement setup hinted at normalcy, but the kitchen screamed horror. Brenda was rushed to the hospital, her life hanging by a thread. Detectives interviewed Steve at the station, probing gently. "Tell us about Sydney," they urged. He painted a picture of a loving daughter, no hint of trouble. But cracks appeared. Sydney hadn't mentioned her expulsion. She said she was overwhelmed, Steve admitted. Wanted to save us money on tuition. He'd encouraged her to stick it out. College was about figuring things out. Lauren, Sydney's friend, filled in more blanks. "She switched majors a lot," Lauren said. "Struggled with classes, but hid it well. Anxiety had plagued Sydney, worsening that January. She seemed sad, lost. Everyone else had their paths. She didn't. Lauren had offered support, but Sydney shut down. And alcohol? She liked to drink," Lauren confessed. "There was an incident freshman year. She ended up in the hospital. Brenda had driven through the night to fetch her. No judgment, just love." The lies unraveled like thread from a spool. Sydney had told friends she'd left college by choice with her parents' blessing. To her parents, she downplayed it as burnout. But the professor's call to Brenda that morning, it exposed everything. Brenda, piecing together Sydney's deceptions, confronted her daughter mid-conversation. Words turned heated. In a flash of rage or desperation, Sydney grabbed the skillet, striking her mother down. Then the knife. 30 times. Panic set in. She impersonated Brenda on the redial, her voice a poor mimic. To cover tracks, she smashed the window from inside, staging the invasion. But evidence doesn't lie. No footprints outside, no stolen items. Sydney's story crumbled under scrutiny. Detectives returned to Steve, bearing the unbearable. "We don't think it was a break-in," they said softly. Steve's face drained of color. "What? No." "Sydney." The room spun. His wife, his partner of years, gone. And his daughter, the attacker? They got into an argument, detectives explained. It turned physical. Brenda succumbed to her injuries, blunt force trauma, and stab wounds, ruled homicide. Steve's grief was a tidal wave. He had to tell Andrew, his son waiting outside. "They think Sydney did this," he choked out. Andrew's world shattered. "She's going to jail forever. Wife's dead." Father and son clung together, alone in their agony. Sydney was arrested, charged with murder, felonious assault, and tampering with evidence. Her defense? Insanity. "I blacked out," she claimed. No memory. But the jury saw through it. The premeditation in the cover-up, the rage in the wounds. Guilty on all counts. Life in prison, parole possible after 15 years. What drives a daughter to such darkness? Fear of failure? The weight of expectations? Sydney's lies snowballed, trapping her in a cage of her own making. For Steve, the pain lingers, a family torn asunder. In the quiet of that Akron home, echoes remain, screams, shattered glass, a mother's final plea. A reminder that secrets, unchecked, can kill. This story isn't just facts. It's a human tragedy, raw and real. We all hide pieces of ourselves, but when do they become weapons? Sydney's tale warns us. Face the truth, or it may bury you and those you love under the ground.